Okay, so welcome to Introduction to SQL. Why SQL is important? Uh, First of all, to communicate, what is the use of the SQL? So, SQL is a standard query language. It is pronounced as SQL as well. So, it's a standard database language that is used to create, maintain, destroy, update and retrieve the data from relational databases like MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server, or PostgreSQL. And as you know that if you want to communicate with other persons, we use English as a language, Marathi as a language, our mother tongue as a language, or Hindi as language. Same way, when we want to communicate with the database, SQL is an important language. So whether you want to become a successful data scientist or a business analyst or a full stack web developer or even a software developer, learning and practicing SQL is very important for all the fields. Almost every big tech company uses SQL to manage and organize their data. Be it a Uber, be it a Zomato, be it a Facebook, Netflix, Google, Amazon, LinkedIn, or any other, SQL is everywhere. So SQL is also top and most popular language among the data scientist or data engineer or any software developer. Despite lots of hype around NoSQL, Hadoop, and other technologies, it is one of the most used language in the entire tech industry. Believe me, this is the topmost language used in all the field of the tech industry. So now that we know that how much learning SQL is important or what is the significance of SQL in today's world, we shall we shall know how to learn SQL in systematic way. To help you all with this, I have created a practical roadmap of 30 days of SQL based on lot of study and research. This roadmap will give you a complete guideline with reference to learn and practice SQL, all type of job roles, be it a full stack web developer using SQL to retrieve information from database or data scientist, data analyst using SQL to understand the data sets and then analyzing it for different models. All you just need a laptop, a working internet connection, determination to solve the problems regularly, and within 30 days you will be able to learn the SQL and you can apply SQL to real life problem and crack the interviews. So considering the depth of this topic, we would be required at least 30 days to learn the SQL from the beginning to advanced level. So stay committed to the roadmap and solve as many as questions you can solve on daily to maintain the consistency. So here in this video series, I will be teach you SQL from basic to advanced level. So what is SQL? SQL is a structured query language which is used to perform operations on records, to store the database, to store the data in database, or to update the existing data in the database, or to insert a new record, deleting the records, creating and modifying the database objects such as the table, views, etc. So what is database? Database is a collection of the objects such as tables, views, store procedure, functions, triggers, and other different objects. In Microsoft SQL Server, there are two types of the databases available. One is the system database and another is the user database. So what is the system databases? System databases are those databases whenever we install the Microsoft SQL Server as a software, then these three databases, master database, model, MSDB and TempDB, these four databases are visible and are automatically installed. This is hidden database and it is not visible to you. In few minutes I will show you these different databases, and there is one more database type is called the user database. What is user database? Those databases are created by me or you or any administrators, developers, and testers who have to access to create a database. So to create a database, you have to have a create access of the create database. So I will show you how to connect to the SQL server. If you want to install the SQL server database engine on your system, you can go to our next gen data YouTube channel, and there is a second video you can check. I have already created a video how to install the SQL server database engine. So, and to connect the SQL server, you have to have a client tool called SSMS. So SSMS is a tool which is used to connect to the database server. So to download this SQL Server Management Studio, you have to go on the internet, and from there you can type SSMS, that is SQL Server Management Studio, and you can click on the first link. Then from this link you can download that, and once the setup is downloaded, just double click on this software, and on this .exe software, this will be get installed on your system. So in my case, it is already installed. So I will stop the download, and then I will show you how to connect to the particular SQL server. To connect a SQL server, you have to have selected that under the server type, you have to select a database. There are different services are available. You have to select database engine, then the server name. Most of the time it will be localhost, that is your machine. Sometimes if I want to connect to the server which is located in USA or which is located in UK, I have to give the server name. That's it. From here, like from sitting at India, you can connect to the any server. You have to have just access of that server. There are two types of authentication. One is the Windows and other is the SQL authentication. The rest are the Azure Active Directory accounts. In future videos, I will explain more about this. As of now, I will use Windows authentication, and I will click on the connect. So I'm connected here to my database server. This is my local system. You can see here, okay, initially this is the system databases. You can see there are four databases. That one is the master, another is the model, then MSDB and tempdb. So what is the purpose of the master database? The master database contains all the information pertaining to the software. So if you double click on this master database, or if you want to expand it, just double click on the plus symbol. You will get it will be get expanded. Then under the tables option, there are system tables. Basically this will contain the information about the all about the software. Okay, we don't want to play with this. This is the model. So whenever if you want to create a user defined database, if you create a user defined database, the basic structure will be same as the model, so it will act as a model. What is the use of the MSDB? MSDB is mostly used to run the jobs. Okay, if I want to upload data on daily basis, I will create a job, and that job information will be resided into MSDB. So the purpose of the tempdb here is to store the temporary results. If I want to perform certain operations on a database, and I want to store these operations on the as an intermediate, and that intermediate results are always stored into the tempdb. So these are the system databases. Now here, the Adventure Works 2019, Northwind, and SQL Demo and Student Information. These are the user-defined databases. To create a database, uh, you you have two options. One is the using graphical user interface, and another is using new query window. So whenever you click on the new query, you have to have type SQL command. I will explain what is the SQL commands. So SQL commands are the commands which are basically need to communicate with the databases. There are the four types of the different databases. SQL commands. These are data definition language, data manipulation language, transaction control language, and data control language. I will explain these transaction control language and data control language in the future upcoming videos. As of now, I will explain what is the data definition language. So, pardon. So, data definition language is basically used to create a different objects. For example, database, table, views, procedure, and functions. The alter statement is used to modify these objects. Suppose I have a table, and tomorrow if I want to add one more column into that table, or if I want to change my database structure, that time I use a alter command. Drop is if you want to remove the whole database or any particular object, and that time you will use a drop command. Truncate is used to remove all the content from the tables. Rename just to change the name of the any object. DML is the data manipulation language. Basically, these DDL commands mostly used by the administrator person who has the whole access of that particular database, and the DML commands are mostly used the developers. So we have to deal with these DML statements a lot. Select, insert, update, delete. We will learn each and every commands in future videos. Okay, so now we will create a database. So to create a database, there are two ways. One is using SQL Server Management Studio, and another is using SQL Server Management Studio with a query. So this is the syntax: create database and then database name. It is very simple. You have to write a create database. These are the keywords. Those are in different color, and database name, the italic, you can specify any name. So now for example, I have an example, that is create database bike store. Okay, now we will go and we will create one more database called student information or anything. Now I have student information. So in the database, in one particular server, there cannot be more than two database with same name. So now suppose if I want to create a database using a graphical user interface, you have to just right click on these databases options. I have right clicked on this, the new database, and you can specify the name. So here I will specify like bank info or again student info. You can specify the name in small caps or capital caps. There is no restriction on it, but there are some restrictions that name should start with the letter and not with the uh, numbers. So you can include the numbers in between or at the end. You can also include the special characters underscore in between, but the names always should start with the alphabets and not with the special characters or any numerics. So this is the database name. Then these are few information about the database files. These are the logical names, and these are the physical names. So physical path means these are actually resides on your disk. So to get the locations, you can copy the path and then go to the your disk. You can see there are different files present here. This is the MDF and LDF. So there are two files for each and every database. One is the MDF and another is the log file. So MDF is actually store the data, whereas log file stores the log information. Whenever there is a uncommitted transaction, all information goes into the log, and once you commit that transaction, that information goes into the MDF file. I will explain what is the log transaction all in future videos. As of now, it's not much required. So to create a database, you have to just click OK. So see, I got an error that is database student info already exists. So if the database is already exist, you cannot create the same name database on the same server. So now what I will do, create I will change the name with student underscore info, and I can create the database. See, these are the two different databases. I will delete this database to avoid the confusion. So under this is the user defined database. I have defined this database. So this is called the user defined database. The other way to create a database is you can uh, use a query. So uh, click on the new query, and then you can write a syntax like create database. These are the standard format syntax, and now you can specify any name like bank underscore info and select the statement. Then there is no need to select the statement. Also, you can press Alt X or execute button. So or F5. I will execute this query from pressing execute button. Now commands completed successfully. This database is created, but if you see here, this database is not visible here. To get the database bank underscore info, you have to click on the database and then click on the refresh. Now see, bank information is bank info underscore info database is available. So and a database content, as I mentioned, the database content different objects. So what are these different objects and where they are located? To get these objects, you have to click on the plus symbol, then tables. So we don't have any user defined table, we don't have views. Under the programmability, there are store function, store procedure function. So these are the different objects. In upcoming videos we will learn more about these database tables, views, and store procedure objects. So to create a database, it's very simple. You have to write a create database, and then any name, if you can give any name. Okay, it could be a library, it could be a book information, it could be a patient information or hospital information, anything. Now, so to drop a database, you can again use two options. One is using a graphical user interface, and another is using SQL query. So this is the syntax: drop database name. It's very simple. Now I want to drop this database. What is the meaning of the drop? Drop means to remove. So I want to drop this database. So what is the syntax? Instead of the create, just write drop and then database name. I will click, I will select this one and then execute. You can see still the database is there. Okay, I will refresh it and the database is not here, it is vanished. Now I will show you how to drop a database using graphical user interface. To drop a database, we will drop this SQL demo by using graphical user interface. So right click on the database, then click on the delete, and then click OK. It's very simple. Now I will show, sometimes you will get an error, you cannot drop a database. Now I will try to drop this database and I will get an error. We will wait. You will get this error as the database is in use. See, that other database bank info database got deleted, or SQL demo database got deleted immediately, but the student information database not getting deleted. I will show you the purpose. Sometimes you will get this kind of error. So to get the details of the error, click here under the message. See, cannot drop database student info because it is currently in use. So how can we know that this database is in use? So there are two ways to know that whether the database is in use or no. One is here, if you see student info, if the database name is displayed here, meaning that that database is in use, and whenever the database is in use, you cannot delete that database, or it is restricted. The other part is that student info. Here you can see this is the student info. This is the database name. This is my server name. This is my username. And again, this is the database name. So from here also you can rectify, or you can verify that the database name is what is the database name. So now if I want to delete the database, the way is you can right click on the database and click on delete, and while deleting, close existing connection. So existing connection means this is the existing connection. Okay, this is the existing connection. So either you can close that connection, or the other way is you can right click on the database and then click on delete and then close existing connection. So what will happen? This existing connection will be closed. Now I will click here, click OK. See, the database is gone from here. Okay, still you see this database name is there here, and again student information here. If I write anything here, then I will get an error. See, cannot open database student info requested by the login. So login failed. This database is no longer here. I will click here. I have closed the connection. Now, what are the data types in SQL Server? There are different data types available in the SQL Server. So, what is the data type? To define a column, we have to write a data data type. For example, if I have a first name, then it should have some uh, data type. So it could be integer. Integer means number. Characters means it can contain a number as well as special characters, as well as special symbols, as well as alphabets. That is called alphanumeric. What is bit? Bit is just 1 and 0. Sometimes it is called as true or false. Decimal means, as you know, that we store the decimal numbers, like 10.5 is the example of the decimal. Character means there are two types of the characters data types. That is, one is the char and other is varchar. So character stores fixed length. Suppose my name is my country name is India. So if I declare a data column length as 10, and if I am not storing 10 characters, in that case, the other like how many characters are there in India? So five characters. Okay, if I declare a column called country with length 10, then even I'm storing only five characters, the five rest characters space is wasted. So char is fixed length, and char is again, like if I want to store my database language is English, and if I want to store the data in database with Marathi language or Hindi language or Chinese language, Japanese language, in that case, n varchar plays very important role. Varchar is a variable in length, so if I have a column called country, and I have India. Again, it will store 5 characters, but here it will not waste the rest 10 characters, 5 characters. Then date time, to store the date and time, we use date time to store only date. Date time will store the date and time, whereas date will store only the date part, whereas time store only the time part. So, as I mentioned, there are different objects available in database. One of them is the table. So, what is table? You may have played with Excel. You may have stored data in an Excel sheet. So, Excel has rows and columns. So, same applies in SQL Server tables also. Table also has rows and columns. So this is called, the vertical bar is called, vertical information is called the columns, whereas the horizontal information is called, horizontal bar is called as rows. Even it is called as a tuple, and this column also called as sometimes field. So to create a database, to create a table, we can use this syntax: create table, table name, and then column name and data type. So in SQL Server, under single database with same schema, you have only one table. So if you specify the table name, same table name multiple times, you will get the error. Okay, and to define the table, you have to have a few columns and then their data types. So this is the syntax. We will create one table inside the student information table. So now I am into the master database, and if I want to switch to student information database, then you can select this database and click on the new query. So now select that particular database and click on new query. What is happening? Let me refresh it. Okay, there is the if you want to create a table inside student information table, then there are two ways you can use. Uh, you can select the student info database from here. I think it is deleted. We don't have that database. That's the main. Yeah, we don't have that database. We will create that same database again. Create database. There is no need, like you can write in caps or small, student underscore info, and just press alt X. This is the shortcut to execute the query. Now you can refresh the databases, you will get the student information. And now I'm selecting student info and then click here new query. Now this database is selected. You can verify from here also, or you can use a use statement, use stu student information, and then execute. See, now I am into model database. Okay, so you can see here, and now I am going to use this statement. So to switch from one database to another database, you can use a use statement and execute. Okay, so the syntax of create table is create table, then table name stu student. Okay, now we can specify the student roll number. So roll underscore number, this is my column name, and the data type is integer. So Most of the time the student number will be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, likewise, but it will not be an a decimal point like 1.1 and all. So then you can specify student underscore name, and then name would be always into characters. So it will be in alphabets. So I have created a table. Table name is student, student. Then roll number is my column. This is int is integer data type. Then student name is again one more column, and then varchar 20. So this is the length. So in student name I can maximum store 200 characters and not more than that. Okay, this is the one way to create a table. The other way is you can come here, right click on the table, create, then click on the new and then table. So here you can specify the column name. For example, I will specify the staff information. So staff underscore number, and then the data type. You to select the data type, you can click on this drop down button and you will get the different data types. In my case I will select integer, then staff underscore name. I will explain what is null and allow nulls, and uncheck what is not null in future videos, what is n character 10 and all. So here I will select var char 50. Okay, and if I you can select this option, and then once I clicked on the save option, it will populate to choose the name. So I will give the table name as staff underscore info, and you can see here the staff info table is created. This is using a graphical user interface, so you can close it. This table is here. Now I will create the one more table with query. So this is the syntax: create table, then table name, and then column name, data type. You can specify as many as columns. So as per my knowledge, we can create a maximum 1,000 columns in a particular table. So we have created two columns. One is the roll number and another is the student name. So you can select this one and execute, and just refresh these tables. You can see staff info and students. So these are the two tables. In future videos, today we will stop here. So in tomorrow sessions I will teach you how to insert data into this staff info, student information, and then how to read the data from this information. So thank you for joining the sessions. You can ask me any queries in the chat, uh, and I will get back to you whenever it is possible. Or even I will share my contact details with you. You can ask directly question there pertaining to database or anything in the tech industry. Thank you.